Hey there friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Dominique from the Pixie Planner, and today is the second video in a series that I'm doing over the next few weeks. So if you haven't seen the first video, I will leave it linked in the cards for you. Definitely go check it out. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of the content that's coming your way. So in last week's video, I went over what exactly the Planner Perfect method is, and the whole series being focused around scripting a life you love. I felt like that was a very important area to start with. So today we're gonna start diving a little bit deeper, and we're gonna go into your goal pages and your daily scripting. So when it comes to setting goals, I feel like they go along with the daily scripting, because for myself, when I am sitting down to plan my week on a Sunday, I am looking at my goals first, and then I'm pulling from there as I do my daily scripting. That way my goals are always sprinkled throughout my week. So I'll be showing you some of my goals from June and giving you examples of how I sprinkled them in throughout my week. I'm very much a visual person, so I want to make sure you guys have visuals of how I'm transitioning the goals into the week. On top of that, I want to try to give you guys some ideas of how you could possibly modify the method. Not necessarily modify, but tweak little areas to make it work better for you. For example, if you work outside of the home, like myself. I struggled with that at first because Jenny Penton, who's the creator and founder of the method, she speaks from someone who is a stay-at-home, work-from-home mother of 8. I don't know how she does it still, but she bakes, she takes care of a home, she works on her business, she takes care of herself. So she can fill her pages up pretty well. I was a little intimidated at first because I didn't think I had much to write, but I quickly found out that was not the case. So I want to show you how, as someone who works full-time, you can still make this method work. So enough rambling. I'm going to turn the camera around, and from now on, you're going to be seeing my hands and the inserts. Okay guys, so we are now upstairs in my craft room because the lighting is just way better up here. But I'm gonna try to not be too rambly here because there really is so much to cover, as you know, when it comes to creating your goals and scripting your day. So what I wanna just quickly do is show you what my first insert looked like. Now, this was just a blank insert here. So it's not from Jenny's shop. This is just a simple grid paper. And this is what I started off with to make sure that I was really in love with the method. So I had my goals in the front. I'm not gonna go into these goals because I wanna show you what I have in my June. Then I had my week at a glance, and then I came into my days. And so I pretty much followed that whole sequence, my week at a glance, days, then I went into the next week at a glance and days. So I followed that all the way through this insert here. And it flowed so perfectly for me. The week at a glance was a huge help because I could keep those important dates each week at the front of my mind and not have it get lost in my scripting. Something else that I really love to do, and this could be really helpful for those of you who have used the Getting Things Done system, which is something that I was using as well. At the very back of my insert, I had a next actions list. I had a list of projects, my someday maybe list. Then I had YouTube ideas, health, waiting on, to read, wish list, destashing my planner collection just so I could keep track of everything. And I had it tagged here in the back for me to be able to easily flip to as I needed to refer to things. So that could be something really helpful for you guys that are still wanting to keep some sort of a list, but not have it get mixed in with your scripting. You know, maybe think of having a separate insert that you dedicate just to list making or long-term lists, ones that you know you're going to have to refer to frequently. I've even had a master to-do list. So anytime anything popped into my mind, I would go ahead and write it on the list. And that's kind of like what the next actions list is from getting things done. It's your brain dump section here. So that way you don't have to worry so much about, and I know I stressed out in the beginning, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't make a list, what? So that could be something helpful for you. Now let's move into June here, because I've got some examples that I feel comfortable showing you. Now with the Planner Perfect insert, this is just for 1 month. So they are 1 month at a time. And you've got your month at a glance right away. Then it goes into 4 pages for goals. And then you go into your week at a glance, followed by your daily pages, and it follows that the rest of the way, week at a glance, daily pages. So this is where I want to kind of talk to you about goal setting. The Planner Perfect method is like nothing else, okay? We are often taught to make SMART goals, measurable, goals. You're checking things off, you're setting deadlines for yourself. Just like everything else in the Planner Perfect method, you are envisioning. It is about envisioning your life the way you want it to be. And you are scripting it and letting it go. So you're not holding on to the reins and trying to take control over every single step along the way. You're having faith and trust that things will happen when they're supposed to happen. You have programmed your subconscious mind just by going through the act of envisioning and scripting. So what you are telling your subconscious mind you want, it's going to believe that you already have it, as long as you are scripting in a present tense, not, oh, I wish this were to happen, or I would love it if I could get this done. You're scripting as if it has happened, it is here, it is right now. So with my goals, what I like to do is I like to try and pick one project for the house, and then I go with something mind, body, soul, or spirit. So mind, it might be, okay, I'm gonna read X amount of books, or if I'm trying to learn a language. Body would be for myself, like for example, I had 4 days a week of doing yoga, feeding my body good food. And then when you think of your soul, your spirit, it can be, if you enjoy doing devotionals, if you are someone who wants to learn to meditate, you're working on that. For me, something was volunteer work that just fed my soul. So volunteering at the local animal shelter. I feel like doing that focus on a project and then mind, body, and soul, you're encompassing a lot within your life just with those 4 areas. Of course, you pick your thing. You pick what is most important to you and you go with it. So for me, I had my goals focused on health. And so this is an example of how I would script. I'm crushing my health goals. I'm walking every day to get fresh air, be with nature, and care for my body. I do yoga 4 days a week, and it makes my mind and body feel amazing. My body is full of energy through the healthful food I feed it. So right there, I'm envisioning what it would feel like. What would I be so excited about? I'm crushing my health goals. I'm not worrying about, oh man, what if I don't reach this goal by this date, or stressing about, oh, I set this deadline for myself and I'm not there. You know what? I might as well just give up. I'm feeling the outcome. My outcome is that I crushed my goals. I feel amazing, and I'm making sure that I do, and I'm being specific here, 4 days a week of my yoga. Being specific, I'm walking every day, getting outside every day for fresh air and being with nature. So my SMART goals are more in a scripted method. I am being specific in areas, but I'm also imagining what it would feel like. So again, you are impressing the subconscious mind. You are what bring your desires to pass. What you feel and think is what will come to be. So when you're scripting, that's where you want your mind to be at. Now, coming here to the projects, I was really slacking on my projects for the longest time. So I wrote here, the house is looking amazing. I'm getting so many things done that I wasn't motivated to do before. I finally decluttered the table behind the sofa and the drawers are so organized. My craft room is looking good little by little. This month I sorted all the loose papers and got everything off the floor. The basement has come a long way. Mike put up the extra shelves and it has cleared up so much floor space. So again, I am envisioning what I want for different areas of my house. And I have to tell you, this is the first time I ever did goal setting like this. I was always that person that set deadlines and had that checklist to mark off as I was accomplishing things. So I wrote this out maybe a week before June actually started, and then I forgot it. I didn't even refer back to these pages the whole rest of the month. It wasn't until the end of the month when I looked back and I saw I accomplished everything I wrote down, and I could not believe it. So you have to trust the process. It's different, it's new, and that's okay. You know, we've been programmed to think a certain way for so long. It's not going to happen overnight to change that and to be kind of letting go of that control that we feel we need to keep so often. So after the goals here, you come into your week at a glance. And again, this is where I like to write specific appointments, of course, specific tasks that need to get done on certain days. I will also keep track of steps here. So if you're looking to build better habits and you want to keep track of water intake, your steps, this is a great place to do it. If you want to do some gratitude for each day, this is a great place to do it. If you want to put a scripture here, this is where you can do it. So this week at a glance is such a handy tool to have within your notebook, whether you're doing just a blank notebook or, you know, if you have a Planner Perfect insert here, it's such a handy thing to have, because then you don't have to stress so much about, oh my gosh, I don't have my list with me. How am I supposed to do this without having a list to look at? This can be your list section. So you can write your to-do list here when you're first starting off. That can go in this section, and then leave it out of your daily pages. Just script your day as you envision it to unfold. So coming into the daily pages here, let me see if I can find something. This is when I had started back at work. And again, this is a narrow size. I don't know if I said that in the beginning. This is a narrow. So I found it pretty easy to fill in the narrow. But I marked here, I highlighted my desires, okay? Now, this is where you are going to be referring to the list I had you make last video. So this was kind of your homework, your little bit of an exercise to do. So the reason why I had you make this list is because when you are given, and I will pull out my current planner, when you are given just a blank page to look at, how do you feel? I mean, this is intimidating. All of this space and not knowing what to do with it just yet. Still learning what to do with it. That's when this comes into play, because you then take decision fatigue out of the picture as well. It's exactly like how, you know, specialists will say to minimize decision fatigue, have your clothing picked out the night before the workday. That way, the fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy and brain power you have throughout the day. Especially when starting out with the method, knowing what you want and what you have to do can be very tricky. I'm sure you could write out all of the things you want, or I'm sorry, that you have to do for the day. But can you sit down and just like throw out all the things that you want to do easily? You probably have a harder time deciding what you want versus what you have to do. So this keeps your wants at the front of your mind. And it also helps you on a day where you maybe don't have much planned, or you don't have a specific appointment, or you have so much that you have to do, you don't know where to start. So this is where this list can come into play. We often load ourselves up with more than we need to do on any given day. So what I like to do myself and what I like to recommend is pick 2 things from your must-do list. Focus on those 2 things. Let that be your goal for the day, is to accomplish those 2 things. Whether it is you've got a couple errands to run and then you need to make sure you pay the bills. You know, again, we give ourselves more than we need to do in one day. So pick 2 or even 3 things off of your must-do list. But make sure you are filling in those gaps with your wants. You should have at least one of your wants written within your day. I try to get 2 in my day. And I actually keep my list of my must-dos and wants right next to me when I am planning my week. Because again, I may not think of something right off the top of my head, but if I pull this out and think, you know, pet care, oh yeah, that's right. I need to make sure that I trim Lola's nails this week and I clean her ears twice. Or, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. I've got this bill that I need to pay on this particular day, and I've got these errands that I need to run, you know, on my day off. So this is where it gets the mind, the memory bank going. So that way it triggers things that I have kept stored in my brain and haven't really helped myself out writing it down. You know, it's kind of things that you store and you store and store. And then when you need to recall them, sometimes it's difficult to actually recall. So having this list is going to be, especially in the beginning, a real lifesaver for you. Because when we also think about our wants, our desires, especially for mothers, for caretakers, we often put our desires to the sideline. We need to have that constant reminder that we need to fill our cups. We need to feed our lives, our creativity, our gifts. Keep this in the front of your mind. That way you are never letting yourself get depleted. So when you have this blank page, this helps it become less daunting. It helps give you a guideline of somewhere to start. Now, I want to also quickly show you what my current planning is looking like. So I showed you here in my second insert. So this was my second month. And I started, sorry, I'm like probably all over the place, but I started talking about what I'd highlighted here when I pulled this towards you. So I highlighted here my wants. I've got my journaling, I've got my yoga, and this is going to be Lola's teeth brushing. Now this is a want because this was in my goals. So I had for habits to establish habits in my goals section. So I've got my goal there. Yoga, that is one of my goals. Journaling is one of my goals. These are also part of my desires. So I wanted to at least show you here. Okay, so we've got goal, goal, goal. but these are mixed in with my desires again, okay? So when you're writing out your goals, you are sprinkling them throughout your days. And the flow is going to be so seamless. You're going to see that these goals are naturally getting checked off without you having to constantly be monitoring your progress. Put the thought into it in the beginning and then put it aside. Refer back to it later in the month. It's easier said than done, trust me. I know it. It's easier said than done. But you honestly, at some point, you just have to give and just trust the process in order to fully grasp what it has to offer to you. So now we're in my July book, okay? Now, this is another blank notebook that I have here. I wanted to see if this size was really going to be for me. This is the wide. I'm still not quite sure. I love my narrow. I'm still filling out the wide. I'm still feeling it out. So I went back here because I felt like the wide was a little bit too big for me now that I'm back at work. So I went back to the day on one page this week, but I do want to show you here. I'm trying not to show too much. Okay, so I do want to show you here. This is going to be for those of you who have a wide and maybe don't feel like you have much to fill. So I did my day on one page, and then I have my desires, my dreams, my wishes written on the second page. These are some of the desires that I script in my journal. Okay, so the journal, like we mentioned, is totally separate. This is where you are manifesting your dreams and desires. So that way I am going through repetition, okay? Jenny talks about the importance of repetition in order to reprogram the subconscious mind. I am going through repetition, writing again a lot of my desires. This isn't all of them. I've got a ton of them, but I'm writing out some of my desires, just really engraving it in my mind. So if you don't have enough to fill in the 2 pages, if you really feel stuck, start scripting some of your desires. Just use that as your repetition. And if you do have plenty of space for your desires, use your tip-ins for that. Grab a tip-in, write on your tip-ins some of your desires and put them right in there on that particular page. What desires are speaking to you that day? Write them and stick them onto that page. I've done that plenty of times as well. That's a great use for the tip-ins as well. So let's come here. I'm gonna show you. I've got some of the, now you can see I still have my week at a glance. That way I've got it right there. I don't have to worry about fumbling through all my pages. And I went on to the day per page because I just didn't feel like I had much to write about. And this was perfect for me. So what I like to start off with now, so this is currently what I'm doing, and you probably saw the changes throughout those first 2 months versus right now. I was a lot more detailed with my morning pillar and my evening pillar in the beginning to really get it down pat. So now what I like to do is, I'll start with a good morning up at 6 a.m., take care of Lola, then start getting ready for the day by 6:15 a.m. So I'm not being quite as specific by saying, okay, upstairs, wash face, dress, makeup on, hair done, this outfit on. I'm being a little bit less specific, but I'm being very specific on what time I need to start getting ready, because it obviously is what helps me get to work on time. So after that, I'm then downstairs, pack work bag with snacks, lunch, and my journal for the day. Okay, so journaling is something that I want to make sure that I stick with. It's something that I enjoy. It's one of my desires. So I want to make sure I am ready to leave the house by 7:15 a.m. because my first patient is at 7:45. And this little arrow is more of a reminder for me. So I like to use arrows to kind of stand out for a big reminder. So the first part of the day, I wanted to make sure that I called my vet during one of my breaks. Next, it goes into my lunch. And so this time I got a little more specific with my lunch because I wanted to make sure that I did my IG stories and caught up on a few things. But lunchtime, sometimes I'll just script in, spend 30 minutes journaling, or just spend 30 minutes outdoors in nature, go for a walk. But I was doing a little bit of work there. Then my last patient of the day was at 4:30 p.m. home by 6:15 p.m. Now I'm making sure that I take a moment to decompress, catch up with the hubs while enjoying a drink in the sunroom. So when I think of my day and I'm thinking like, oh man, I got to do this when I get home, and then I have to cook dinner, and then I'm going to be so exhausted, that certainly does not make me excited to get home. But when I think of it and I'm sitting down the night before like I usually do, and I'm telling myself, you know what, you're going to take a moment when you get home. You're going to decompress. You're going to sit down with the husband, chat about the day, have a drink together, and then get started on dinner. So you're putting in these little bits of joy to really spark your life, to make it a life that you truly love to live. And from there, we go into dinner. I'm gonna feed Lola, walk her, start evening routine by 7:30 p.m. So again, I left out a lot of detail, and plus I'm keeping it on one page, so I don't really have the room for it, but that is because I am comfortable with my morning and evening routines now. At first, I kept it on a sticky note in the front of my planner. I had my routines on a sticky note that I could quickly refer to. But now I'm just making sure I start at 7:30 p.m. because from 8:30 p.m. on, it is family time. That's where we're going to, if we want to try out a new show or we're sitting and listening to some music, that is family time. I am unplugged. I am just done with everything, in bed by 10 p.m. So you can get as descriptive as you want. What story are you going to write for your day? You can be just like when you read a book. Some books are super wordy and descriptive and kind of boring sometimes, but you can tell a brief story of how your day is, and it's going to be just as effective as a long, more drawn out look at your day. But that's if you have your routines really set in stone. I feel like in the beginning, it is important to go into detail. Even if you are writing the same thing every single day, morning routine, wake up, brush teeth, brush hair, even if it's the same exact thing you're writing every single day for a whole month, who cares? You are setting it in your mind. That way it is like autopilot. You don't have to think twice about it. You don't have to worry about decision fatigue. And then you can start being a little bit more vague with those areas if you want. So my one day on a page has been working out really well for me. This here was a day where, and this is kind of a little bit different from what you have seen now from these days. I sat down because I was going on vacation. I had no idea what was going to be happening that weekend. No idea, because it wasn't up to me. It was up to our friends. But I still sat down and I envisioned everything that I would like to happen. Whether I had all the decisions to make or not, this is what I would like to happen. And let me tell you, everything I scripted came to happen. And like I mentioned, this weekend was not up to me. Everything was decided by our friends. We were just going along for the ride. But everything I scripted occurred. So yeah, guys, I mean, I know this was very rambly, and there's so much more that can be thrown into this mix. And trust me, I will do plenty more of showing you how I script my days, because it varies, and that's okay. Try new things, experiment, but have this list, that must do and want to do's, by your side. So that way, when we talk about the decision fatigue, it is a thing. And I'm sure you know, a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Like, you don't want to make one more decision. You are over it. And then when that decision has to do with doing something for yourself, then you're totally throwing it aside. You're like, no, okay, maybe tomorrow. Oh, another time. You know, have that list so you can look at it, so it can spark something in you. Like, oh, hey, wait a minute. Crafting. Yeah, I haven't done watercolors in a while. That would be really great to do that tomorrow. Let me script it in my day. Yeah, this is going to spark some things for you, especially when you're looking at those blank pages that you don't know what to do with. So that is all I have to cover today for creating your goals and scripting your days. I will be doing more videos, especially plan with me videos, even after the series is done with. So that way you can see as I'm writing, because this is already a long video, but it would have taken me forever if I actually talked you through scripting one of my days. But I will do more plan with me videos, and I hope this was somewhat helpful and informative for you guys that are still just quite unsure of how to work away from that list you're so comfortable with. And another tip too, we've got this awesome notepad in the back of these planners here. This is all of the everyday organize planners are going to have one of these notepads. Brain dump on a Sunday. Sit down, write out everything that is on your mind. Get it on this paper before you open up your planner. That way you feel less intimidated about messing up too, or forgetting something. You know, just scribble it all down. Start here, look at this list, and work off of your brain dump and this list in order to create your week. Okay. Now, again, I will be showing more on how I do that, because that's exactly what I do. I brain dump on this notepad. I have my list, and then I work on my week on Sundays. So I will be showing more of that whole process as well. But again, if you guys have any questions for me, please leave them down below. I love getting feedback from you. And make sure, if you have not yet watched the first one, hopefully you did if you made it all the way through this second video in the series, but make sure you check that out so you can kind of see the whole process as I go through the series. And next week, I hope you will join me, because we are going to talk about how to use your journal for scripting your desires. So as always, I appreciate you guys so very much. I will see you again soon in my next video. Bye.